Welcome back to Understanding Exceptional. I'm Dr. John, and today we're going to talk about a 15-minute reading intervention that can strengthen all of the brain systems required to become a proficient reader. Now, keep in mind before I go into this, what we're talking about when we talk about an intervention is really a new set of tools. And one of the difficulties or one of the challenges I try to overcome when I'm working with parents is the idea that different tools doesn't mean we're cheating or that we're lowering the bar or that your child is less capable. Different tools is just what it is. It is simply different methods to strengthen or to build brain systems to achieve a behavior that we desire. So interventions are nothing more than tools, and we've got to use this ridiculous system where we have to use words in order to get the tools to the table. So the words aren't real. We were talking about dyslexia. We don't blood draw. We don't hair follicle test. We can't grow dyslexia in a petri dish. We say, well, these are the behaviors we're seeing, and that's called dyslexia. But behaviors can't exist without a brain. So we needed to understand what's happening in the brain so we bring the right tools to the table. So when we're talking about interventions, we're talking about tools. And the reason why I introduced that concept or that idea or that reality is because the tools won't always look like what everyone else is doing. One of the issues we have in psychology and education is that, at least from my generation, we were kind of told there's right and there's wrong. There's the right way to do it and there's the wrong way to do it. And if you're not doing it the right way, you're either doing it the wrong way or you're dumb or you're less capable. But that's not true. Using a quick analogy, if my goal, learning is a goal, it is an outcome, and effort is an expectation, and we can use the systems that we have to apply our effort to ideally get to the outcome we desire and deserve. So reading is an outcome. It's a process of learning, but it requires different brain systems. So to use an example, if my outcome that I desire is to build my upper body strength, well, there's different ways I can do that. I certainly know I'm going to have to put forth effort. I'm going to have to go to the gym and figure out ways for me to build my upper body strength. And so if I go to the gym and it's a traditional gym and the trainer there says, well, welcome, we are going to help you build your upper body strength. We have what's called a bench press. I want you to go lay down there. We're going to stack some weights on there. For your age, your height, we're going to assume you can bench press this amount. So we'll put the weights on there and let's get this thing going. We're going to build that upper body strength for you. We're going to do it the traditional, the right way. But here's what might happen in that scenario. If I don't have the opportunity to tell them I have an elbow injury, so if I go past, I won't be able to get it up because of pain. No discussion. Kids get to have no discussion or choices of what interventions or what curriculums we're using. So no discussions related to who I am or what works for me. I get onto the bench press. They put the standard amount of weight on. I can't even get the bar up because I'm in so much pain. And so the trainer looks at me, this traditional trainer, and says, wow, are you weak? You kind of embarrassed yourself in front of everyone here. And here's our intervention. Because you're so weak in your upper body, what we're going to do is most people will have them do like 3 sets of the bench press. We're going to have you do 5. At a lower weight, we'll embarrass you and we'll have you do more of it. That intervention is not going to work. It's not going to be unsuccessful because I don't care. It's not going to be unsuccessful because I don't desire to build my upper body strength. It's not even going to be unsuccessful because I'm weak. I'm actually quite strong, but it's the method itself that ensures that I'm unsuccessful. So every time I go into this gym, they say, you got to get on the bench press, embarrass yourself. Eventually, I'm going to say, you know what? Never mind. I'm not building any strength. This isn't working for me. I don't like working out. I don't like when actually I do. But I'm going to I don't like working out. It's just not working. I'm not strong. I'm out. And so what's happened there is the effort I put in is not equivalent to what I've gotten out of it. So the effort to outcome equation or effort to success equation is out of balance. And so my motivation to continue to do this is minimal, if not zero. And as an adult, I say, peace out. I'm out of here. This is not working. I'm going to go somewhere else. So if we look at it that way, so now in that same scenario where I'm trying to build my upper body strength, let's say there's this, I'll date myself here, this Bowflex machine over here in the corner that doesn't require that I go all the way extended past that elbow point of pain. So I get to start at a different position. Now using this machine, not only do I get to show the trainer just how strong I am to begin with, I get to start building my upper body strength robustly, efficiently, effectively. So in other words, the work I'm going to put in using that machine is going to result in outcomes or levels of success that I desire and deserve. And so that's really what different interventions are about. Learning is an outcome that we desire and deserve. And every kid I've ever worked with starts out with a passion to learn, because learning is interesting. You get new information. But as their efforts equate to less success, or as their efforts are not equivalent to what they get out of it, they start to get this idea that I'm not good at this, or this isn't working, because it's not. My effort isn't equivalent to what I get out of it, so I just don't want to do it anymore. And so the final sort of bookend on my ridiculous analogy here, if I were to apply the same amount of effort to that Bowflex machine, so effort never leaves the equation. And for any intervention, we never get rid of effort, but we can apply our effort differently. If I go over here to this machine, I will build my muscle much more efficiently and much more effectively. And I will get to show people how strong I am. So my success goes way up in relation to my effort. So I applied the exact same amount of effort over here to this machine that I would have applied to the bench press, but now I get outcomes that are efficient and effective, and I get to enjoy success. Who in the world is that trainer to say you are not allowed to use that machine because I had to do it that way? You need to do it that way. This is how most people do it. It's the right way to do it. That's the wrong way. Are you kidding me? But that's where we're at. And I grew up with the understanding that there was a right way and a wrong way. And if you didn't do it the right way, you were doing it the wrong way. And then they come in and say, well, it's because you're not intelligent. You have this word, you have that word. It really comes down to difference. So I say this because in any intervention, we never eliminate the requirement for effort. If we want success in anything we do ever, we got to put effort into it, no matter what it is. Sports, music, learning, it requires effort. And we got to apply effort a lot of times to areas where we're frustrated. But if we bring the right tools in, which is all this is about, we can apply our effort, as it relates to reading, our brain energies and efforts to achieve outcomes that are more consistent with our desires. So that was a long preamble into the 15-minute reading intervention. This is something that I've developed. It's nothing novel or groundbreaking in many respects, but it's different than traditional reading. And what we're going to do through this reading intervention is we're going to hit all of the brain systems responsible for reading, so which we know are sound processing, pairing sounds with symbols, and ocular motor tracking across a horizontal line, maintaining our gaze. So how do we do this? We're going to, unfortunately, in many cases, have to use good old technology, which I know is such a wonderful thing in many ways, and just the end of humanity and others, totally different discussion for a different day. But technology will be a part of this. And so we want to also use the principles of motivation and to enhance learning. So when we apply our effort, we get outcomes, including success that we desire and deserve, that will increase our motivation. And we also want to engage in some other parameters that are likely to increase motivation, or at least not decrease it. And that includes eliminating ambiguity around this 15-minute intervention. So what do I mean by ambiguity? Ambiguity of time and ambiguity of behavior. When we eliminate ambiguity, you can see your finish line. So we're going to break this 15-minute intervention into 3 5-minute intervals. So there's never a frustration. How long do I have to do this? Because I'm exhausted and I'm frustrated, whatever it may be. That is eliminated through 3 5-minute intervals. So in this 15-minute intervention, we're going to use a timer, whether it's on a computer or on an iPad or on a Kindle or on a phone to the side, as long as it's not overly distracting. We want to provide access to the finish line. If I know I only have to do 10 bench press motions, that's a lot less frustrating than somebody saying, you're going to go until I tell you to stop. So you've eliminated the ambiguity. I can hang in there through these 3 5-minute intervals. Now we bring in technology, and we're going to enhance the ocular motor systems. So we're going to use audiobooks. And there's various platforms out there that have audiobooks. I recommend you find an audiobook platform that has a human reading it. Sometimes that robotic voice can be super annoying. But we're going to put an audiobook on either a computer or a laptop or a Kindle, or if we need to, we can open up a paperback book and have a recording going along with it if that's your preferred method. But when you do it that way, you miss out on a critical intervention. We're going to use technology. We're going to have an audiobook in front of the child. They're going to put their headphones on and they're going to do this for 3 5-minute intervals. And here's what they're going to do. The expectation is we're going to eliminate the ambiguity of time. This is 5 minutes, 3 intervals, and we're going to eliminate the ambiguity of behavior. You must follow along. No getting around it, no exceptions. Follow along with your eyeballs during this full 5-minute interval. And why do we require that? Because that's going to strengthen the ocular motor systems. It is going to strengthen the eye muscles that are responsible for maintaining horizontal gaze. And so when an individual using this platform or this intervention process is required to follow along for a short period of time, they are now strengthening eye muscles. Their following along is going to allow them to pair the sounds that they hear from this human with the symbols they see. This is really powerful for whole word reading, where you recognize the whole word. As you become a proficient reader, you do very little decoding. Most of the words you're quickly identifying based on sight. And so that's called whole word reading. So a lot of individuals, particularly those over the age of 7 or 8, their brains revert exclusively to whole word reading. That is the behavior you will see. So we need systems or interventions that build whole word reading. And so the way we do that is we have them follow along for 5-minute intervals, tracking the entire time. So we're hitting all of the brain systems that we need to hit to build a reading brain. We're hitting sound symbol systems, whole word systems, and ocular motor systems. We're enhancing, or at least not reducing, motivation because we're giving them a set time frame that's minimal, 5 minutes. They see the finish line. So it's not a situation where they're overwhelmed by how long do I have to do this. Now we're going to use the principles, the brain principles of motivation to further increase their performance, their success, and build their brains. Because as part of this intervention, the 3 5-minute intervals where they must follow along, we're going to allow them to read any book they want that's okay with your family. This is never about their grade level. This is about their intellectual and interest level. I tell parents, don't let them drop below where they're at. But if they are reading at a 2nd grade level and they want to drop into an 8th grade Indiana Jones book, let them do it if you're okay with it. Here's why. Now I'm motivated. So motivation at the end of the day is the key to unlocking the learning brain systems. And so I'm motivated by Indiana Jones. This is a topic that I enjoy reading about. And so the expectation is I got to read for 3 5-minute intervals. That's not overwhelming, maybe not my favorite, but it's Indiana Jones, so that's cool. And so now my motivation to stay engaged is way up, and I'm going to start building brain systems around reading and learning. And so the motivation is critical in allowing them to pick a book that is of interest to them, not at their reading level, but at their interest level is hugely important. One of the things I've seen in the private realm is this idea that schools, they'll line up books 1 through 10, and I'll have a kiddo in front of me whose interest level is book 10, but their reading level is book 3. And so the intervention is, well, you can't even read book 4 or 5. You're not even close to book 10. Go sit down and read book 3. Show me that you can master that one, and maybe in a year we'll get you to 10. So you've missed an opportunity to allow this individual to build brain systems based on their personal motivation. Their interest and intellectual level often outpaces their reading level. But when you make them dip back into using traditional methods of remediation, books that are not of interest, now you are decreasing motivation because you're not presenting something that's motivating or interesting, and you're setting up situations of failure and potentially embarrassment. So we have 3 5-minute intervals where we're going to have our child, young adult, whomever, anyone, read with the book as the individual is reading it. They must follow along. All right, we've captured the principles of motivation because it's interesting. And now the other things we're going to have them do is after every 5-minute interval, I want them, when the timer goes off, you need to, as parents, the expectation means finish the sentence wherever it is, and then you're done, because their eyes are going to be exhausted, their brains are going to be tired. We just don't sweat or breathe heavy when our brains are tired, right? When we're fatigued from thinking. So there's no overt evidence of that, but it doesn't mean we're not tired nonetheless. So the 5-minute interval allows for a break. But right after they've finished their reading, I want you to have them summarize a little bit about what they read. No expectations here. Tell me what you read. Get excited about it as mom and dad. I cannot wait to hear what Indiana Jones did. That sounds amazing. Give me all the details you can, but no expectations there, just a short summary. Then have the individual make a prediction. Well, what might happen next? You mentioned that you told me that he's outside the cave. He's hearing all these strange noises. What do you think might happen next? Well, mom, dad, I bet he goes into the cave to figure out what the noise. That is exactly what I was thinking, kiddo. I was thinking that exact same thing, and I cannot wait to find out if that's what happens. I cannot wait. Now, in your next 5-minute interval, you'll get to find out. And then after that 5 minutes, not during it, don't get up and come running over here and tell me. After that 5-minute interval, come tell me what happened. Was your prediction right? It was my same prediction. Can't wait to find out. So here's what we're doing through a summary and prediction. We've captured motivation because it's an area of interest for this child. So we're increasing the likelihood of learning, of connecting the regulatory and the sensory systems that are required to learn, to develop behaviors related to learning. We've captured motivation through interest. We've at least not eliminated motivation or reduced it through ambiguity of time. You just got to read till I tell you you're done, or finish the chapter. That's too much. So we have a set amount of time. I see the finish line. I can get through this. I can get to that finish line. So we're enhancing motivation through eliminating ambiguity of time. We're increasing motivation through interest. And we are now building all of the brain systems using the principles of motivation that are required for reading. So we've built ocular motor systems, we're building sound symbol systems, and we're really building whole word recognition systems. One of the examples I give to parents is if you use this format and you allow audiobooks, they must follow along, 5-minute intervals, summarize, predict, you are going to be surprised at how quickly they develop whole words. So the example I give using Indiana Jones is if you've got a third grader reading their Indiana Jones 8th grade level book, and they've, in their 5-minute interval, they've rolled over the word archaeologist 5 different times. You will be surprised, but you shouldn't be. If you write down the word archaeologist, I have no idea how to spell that, take your best shot. But if you were to write down the word archaeologist and slide it across the table to your child a week later and say, any idea what that, there, before you're even done saying, asking the question, they're going to say, that's archaeologist. How did that happen? It's because you're using the principles of motivation. They are engaged. They're not overwhelmed by the process, which has yielded limited outcomes. They are engaged because it's interesting or motivating, and they're not overwhelmed by the amount of time they have to put in. They get to share the story or whatever they read, the information they took away with people they love. And now they're building their whole word repertoires. So their whole word storage systems are just stacking in and on themselves. And so while this is not the traditional modality, they always told us, well, if you're struggling to decode, sit down and just learn to decode for the next 45 minutes. Once we get to a certain age, the phonological piece kind of goes away. And that age is usually 7, 8. And so if we just emphasize interventions that are phonologically based around 7 or 8, we might not be developing the brain systems that are responsible for the reading behaviors at levels that we could. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't consider these phonologically based programs, but we need to allow opportunities for success. We need to embed motivation into success, and we need to structure how we are building those brain systems. Since I'm all over the place with analogies, I'll throw one more out at you. If my goal is to get into shape and build my upper body, lower body, and cardio, if I go to the gym and just haphazardly start just lifting weights and running around and don't have a routine related to developing those systems or building that strength or increasing my cardiovascular capabilities, if I don't have a systemic approach, the haphazard approach isn't going to yield the same outcomes. Whereas if I go and I know I'm going to do 10 minutes of lower body, not my favorite, 10 minutes of upper body, my favorite, and 10 minutes of cardio, kind of in the middle, now I've hit all the systems. Now, if I want to go back and do extra upper body, great. But I need to hit all the systems, and we need to do the same with the brain. The brain is just simply a system, no different, and certainly not separate from the physiological system. And so the more structure we have related to our interventions, the better the outcomes, period. And so recognizing the idea that motivation is the key to learning, period. And so if we can embed motivation into those exercises, we're going to see better outcomes. We're going to see brain systems build more effectively and efficiently, and we're going to see behaviors that lead to success, and we're going to see a happier kiddo, which is what all of our kids deserve. With effort, they deserve success. That should always be the formula we're looking at. Effort is required, but how do we get individuals with their effort to a level of success they desire and deserve? The final piece, and some parents may throw some stuff at the screen at this point, is I'm a big believer in external motivation. So a paycheck, right? If you really think about life is fundamentally the balance between, okay, I got to put effort towards the things that aren't my favorite so I can get to the point where I can put effort towards the things I really enjoy. I got to eat the vegetables and the things that aren't as good so I can have dessert. And the more balance we have between what's expected and what we need to do, and then having fun and those things that are enjoyable. If we put that fulcrum on the balance of life right in the middle, in between expectations and things we must get done, responsibilities and pleasure, reward, and things we desire and really deserve, if that's in the middle, we're in good shape. And so one of the ways, if we know motivation is low to begin with, I'm not a good reader, I don't enjoy reading, this is going to be terrible. Okay, number one, you're a great reader and you're a very smart individual, and we're going to use now different tools to tap into that amazing reading brain of yours. Effort is the expectation. You cannot get around that. Monday through Thursday is what I recommend for these 3 5-minute reading intervals, 4 days a week, just like any other regimen related to building any system, physiological or cognitive. So 3 5-minute intervals, 4 days a week. But tie it into, if it's something that's intrinsically frustrating, and so motivation is low, the opposite of motivation, something that's rewarding and meaningful, something that's frustrating or painful. So the opposite of motivation is frustration. If it starts out frustrating, this process of reading, then drop a motivator in there. For every 5 minutes you give me here, you don't have an opportunity to get out of this. You have to do it. It's important. It's effort. That's the expectation. But for every 5 minutes you give me here, you're banking 10 minutes from a menu that you create of things that you want to do. That includes technology or Uno time with dad. Oh, and also there's a menu of the carby stuff that you like. Before you start, and we'll talk about this in another video, we want to put the good fuels in there, the good foods and drinks. But for every 5 minutes you give me here, you're banking time and opportunities to select from these menus of things you want to do. And I, as your parent, want you to have a ton of time doing things you want to do because they're fun, you enjoy them, I love seeing it, you deserve it. You deserve all those good things to eat and drink too. But in order to get there, your effort is the equivalence, or it is your ticket to those things. So give me 5 minutes 3 times here, and you're banking 10 minutes over here on technology or whatever it may be. So figure out what works for you in your family, but keep in mind that if I'm frustrated when I first start out doing something, then by offering just a simple motivator, by reducing ambiguity, do it for a set amount of time. This is the very specific behavior. Oh, and by the way, there's a little paycheck that's pretty good at it for you. What I find is a lot of these kids that are struggling, those of us with dyslexia, a lot of us are little mini attorneys and usually contract attorneys. And we're willing to give you effort, especially when we're frustrated, if you define how long, and then is there something at the end of this where, all right, my effort was worth my time. It sounds like bribery. Again, some parents may be saying, there's no way, don't do that. I'm sure, throw comments in there if you disagree. But I'm talking about the principles around the brain and brain development and brain functioning, neurology and motivation, and the power of motivation to get regulation and sensory systems to co-activate so that learning takes place. So consider that. Whatever works for you, works for you. These are just ideas. I tell my families I like to plant seeds. Now you can water them and let them grow, or you can leave them be. But any and all interventions, any ideas I have, they're just seeds of thought, seeds for you to think about in terms of, is this something that might work for my child? I do believe the protocol itself, the 3 5-minute intervals, and again, it can be adjusted at some level for different age groups. But I do believe that protocol itself of following along 5-minute intervals, summarizing and predicting is very, very powerful, because I've seen the outcomes from a brain-based standpoint and from a behavior standpoint or a reading capability standpoint. So I believe that fidelity in terms of the intervention, while there is some variability, is important, but how you sort of promote the process or the idea of motivation, that is more up to you. So hopefully you got something meaningful out of that, at least something to think about, some things to consider. And of course, for more information on all things related to the brain, learning, education, psychology, come join the Understanding Exceptional community at understandingexceptional.com. And of course, leave comments, drop in questions, agree, disagree, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is. Just want you to join in the conversation. Can't wait to see you on the next video.